Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a city that's been absolutely shattered by disaster. We're going to uncover the story of one single, incredibly dramatic night, and a terrifying hunger that's just woken up from deep beneath the ruins.
So, this explainer is going to follow two different groups of survivors. And get this, they're vampires, hiding out in the ruins of post-earthquake Portland. The thing is, they're all feeling this same weird psychic disturbance, and they're about to follow that feeling right to its terrifying source.
So, when our story kicks off, our main characters are totally scattered and isolated. You've got the coterie on one side, that's a group of 4 vampires, and they're holed up in a restaurant cooler, messing with some new tech. Then, on the other side, you've got the Undertaker. He's a lone gangrel vampire down in the sewers. And if you know anything about the gangrel, they're kind of feral, so he's already fighting this desperate battle against his own inner beast.
Okay, so as night falls, every single vampire in the city starts to feel something deeply wrong. And listen, this isn't their normal hunger for blood. No, this is something else. It's like this unnatural psychic pressure that's pushing them all towards a ravenous, totally uncontrollable frenzy.
And it all starts out pretty subtly, you know? Just this irritating, high-pitched whine, a buzz, a sound that feels like it's coming from inside your own head. But this psychic static, it escalates, and it escalates fast into something way more sinister, a truly all-consuming compulsion.
What makes this so terrifying is that it just completely overrides their actual level of hunger. I mean, think about it. Even a vampire who just fed suddenly feels like they're starving to death. It creates this desperate, maddening need that just chews away at their self-control.
For the Undertaker, who's all alone out there, this psychic assault just pushes him right to the absolute brink. He tries to hunt, right? Tries to find some criminal to feed on, but he fails, and that failure just cranks up the compulsion even more. He completely loses control, attacks and drinks from a stray dog, but even that doesn't satisfy this unnatural craving. It's still there.
So while the Undertaker is out there fighting this losing battle on the streets, the coterie? Well, they're taking a much more calculated approach. Don't get me wrong, they're feeling the exact same pressure, but from their safe little haven, they decide to actually investigate the source instead of just reacting to the feeling.
And this really shows you two completely different ways of handling things, right? You've got the coterie, getting a whole fleet of drones ready for a remote, super safe exploration to find the source. And then you have the Undertaker, who is literally just trying to survive the next minute, desperately texting his friends for help before he loses it completely.
But before his friends can get to him, the Undertaker runs into 2 other vampires, a pair of Anarchs, Michael and Victoria. Now these guys operate outside the city's formal power structures. They've felt the hunger too, and they've got an offer for him, a very, very dangerous one.
Michael offers his own blood to stop the Undertaker's frenzy, and you gotta understand, for a vampire, this is a huge deal. It's an incredibly tempting offer, right? Instant relief. But it comes with all these unspoken strings attached. It could create a powerful bond, a debt.
Oh yeah, and the Undertaker sees the trap immediately. He knows. He knows that drinking from another vampire, especially an Anarch, could create what's called a blood bond. That's basically a mystical form of addiction and loyalty. It's a debt that's pretty much impossible to ever repay.
He really tries to resist. He does, but between Michael constantly taunting him and that just unrelenting psychic pressure, his self-control just shatters. The beast wins. He goes into a frenzy, attacks Michael, and takes the blood by force.
It's not long after that the coterie finally shows up. So now they all meet up, the coterie, a now much calmer Undertaker, and the 2 Anarchs. They're all at the entrance to the old Shanghai tunnels, which everyone is pretty sure is ground zero for this whole psychic mess.
So the coterie has this cautious plan, right? Well, the Anarchs want nothing to do with it. They decide they're going to be the vanguard. I mean, these 2 are impatient, aggressive, and just itching for a fight. So they just plunge into the darkness while the coterie gets ready to watch, nice and safe from up top.
So the coterie sends in the drones, and what they see is just, wow, a hidden, ancient world. The feed shows the drones going down from a simple sub-basement into these old, mine-like tunnels framed with wood. But then, those tunnels give way to these halls carved from solid stone, and they are covered, impossibly, in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The whole journey ends in this one final grand chamber, and inside, an empty sarcophagus.
And you know, as the drones get deeper and deeper, that psychic hunger just surges through the vampires back on the surface. It's more powerful than it's ever been, and that's all the confirmation they need. The source of all this, it's got to be somewhere down there, in the darkness.
Now, deep inside these tunnels, the drone cameras catch something shocking, something completely inexplicable. That whole cautious plan they had, yeah, it's about to become totally useless. So you've got the first Anarch, Victoria. She's just standing there in the drone's light, waiting for the tech to catch up. You can see her perfectly clear on the video feed.
And then she's just gone. 1 second she's there, the next, the feed is empty. Michael starts to panic, he's searching the tunnel, and then he vanishes too. No sound, not a trace, just an empty space where two vampires were standing just moments before.
There was no struggle, no sound, nothing. The video feeds are blank, the microphones are totally silent. Their whole remote investigation plan, it's failed. They're up against a threat they can't even see. So now they have no choice. They have to go down into those tunnels themselves.
So as they head into the tunnels, they're bracing for some kind of monster, right? But that's not what they find. Instead, they see a man. Just a man walking out of the darkness to meet them.
This being that they find, it keeps shifting between two different forms. First, he's a gaunt, bearded man dressed like he's from the 1800s. He calls himself Asa Lovejoy, one of Portland's original founders. But then he shifts and becomes Apep, a tall, imposing figure just radiating the immense power of an ancient Egyptian god. But he seems totally lost, completely overwhelmed by the modern world.
And in this confused state, the entity just latches onto one of the coterie, a guy named Matt, and calls him by his real name, Matthias. He doesn't seem hostile at all, just lost. He's pleading for help to get back to a home that he just doesn't recognize anymore.
So, it turns out the source of all their torment wasn't some mindless beast. It was an ancient, powerful being just waking up from a very, very long sleep. The hunger now has a face, but finding the source has only created a new, completely impossible challenge. I mean, what do you do when a lost god asks you to take it home? To a home that hasn't existed for millennia?